Welcome to the Pursuit of Manliness podcast, where we are vigorously equipping men to pursue biblical manliness. Well, men, I want to welcome you back out in the garage. This podcast, I had tried yesterday at least 10 times to record. You say, did the equipment fail? No, I did. Somewhere in the conversation or when it was over, I thought, that's not what I want to convey. I've already tried twice today. If I get to the end of this podcast and you say, Jarrett, that wasn't that great, I understand. I'm not trying to woo you or wow you with this. I'm just trying to communicate my heart behind this message. So I better get on with it. Last week, I made a social media post about Firepit Friday Night. And in the post, I talked about, Friday night, November 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern time, I want to have a virtual fire pit. And I kind of said, hey, here's what I need from you. Here's what we plan on doing. From that point on, from that post to as I stand here today on a Tuesday, I've had a number of you reach out, whether in person or online, and share your excitement about this idea of what it could become or what it might be, at least on that Friday night. I've seen a number of you guys share on social media, on your own pages and say, hey, join me for this. And I want you to know that is really encouraging. I don't have all this figured out, but what I do try to do is be in tune with where I think the Lord is leading and trying to survey what I think is next or what I think is important for this ministry. And there have been some things through the years that I would say that was kind of a game changer, or that was a pin on the map that was dropped. I would say, boy, things kind of took it to the next level when that happened. I would say Tribe would be probably the first one. Maybe even before that, I think there was a podcast before that. That kind of allowed me to share my heart, not in written form anymore, but share my heart. And then Tribe, and I got to talk about Tribe and bring guys on as they discussed it at times. The Herd, that's been a big deal. Even as I stand here today, the guys that kind of come into the pursuit of manliness, and the Herd is kind of their front door to check it out. The retreat has been a massive deal. Not only to get to hang out with the guys in Tribe, get to know some guys in the Herd, but to meet you guys that maybe you've listened for years and our path had never crossed. And so there's just been some things along the way. I think the closed Facebook group, that was something that I'd never done, a closed Facebook group. And I asked like 10 guys, would you let me add you to this group so I can kind of, figure out, what this thing might be about. And so there's been a lot of things like that. Recalibrate would be a thing, that this daily podcast, which I'm going to talk on Recalibrate probably in the coming weeks at some point. I don't know, maybe today, I don't know. I think Recalibrate's going to change, and I think for the better. I'm pretty excited about it. I just want to make sure I'm creating something that is sustainable, but I'm looking forward to it. Anyhow, I digress. Firepit Friday Night. A number of weeks ago, I went to a retreat in southern Indiana, and I've shared about this on the podcast, and I got to hang out with some guys, and it was kind of like the first gathering that I was a part of coming out of summer where you could have a fire and you could hang out. It was kind of cool. It wasn't hot, and we had some worship, and I'll tell you about the worship. There was a couple, I'm just going to call them good old boys, just guys sitting on a picnic table with guitars. They were wonderful. They were taking requests. I mean, who does that? And so you had a bunch of guys like me with your face lit up, learning the lyrics of the songs. These were all kind of older songs. It was wonderful, though. And we'd sing, a verse or two, whatever, and then we move on to the next song. And I was like, man, this is so good. A good friend of mine got up and he shared the word, and he was sharing different scriptures, and guys were engaging in that. I shared at some point. But really the cool part was afterwards, just guys kind of hanging out and talking. And the next day they were praying over a guy. They kind of had like a coffee with Christ around the fire. And it's just a reminder that men are drawn to a fire. I don't know if women are, but I know men are. There's something about a fire that is this great neutralizer that brings us all together. And through the glow of this fire, we all just feel a little bit more connected. And sometimes a little bit more transparent. Maybe it's the darkness. I don't know. I don't want to make it more than what it is, but there's something to that. And it, kind of lit my fire, no pun intended, for our men's retreat. So at our men's retreat, every Friday night of our retreat, we have a fire, and it's wonderful. Guys hang out, and sometimes we've had worship. Sometimes we just hang out. Sometimes guys are frying up fish or doing whatever. I mean, it's everything. But leading up to the retreat, the men who are in tribe come in a day, 2, 3, 4 earlier. They come in a few days earlier and they hang out. We hike around the area. We go eat together. But one of the things that we do is we take that coffee with Christ, the thing that we do every morning, just personal worship time, cup of coffee. You don't have to drink coffee, but that personal worship time. And this year, instead of going inside like we have done, we went outside. And my friend Brian and Scott got the fire going, and they led us through Titus. We went through Titus 1, 2, and 3 during our time together. And I don't know, we might have had 20 some guys there at that time. It's just a great way to start the day. And again, just around the fire, And then Thursday morning, my friend Clint shared before we went hiking. Thursday night, Scott shared again. And I just don't say again, he was leading Titus, but he shared around the fire. And that was just kind of like this connecting point. You walk out of the building or you're looking around, hey, look towards the fire. There's all these guys hanging out there. And it was just a place that men were drawn to. Saturday morning, some of you guys, when you got up, you come out of your tents or cars or whatever, you look over and go, what are these guys doing? I better get over there. You joined in on our Coffee with Christ time, which is wonderful. We want you to do that. So again, something about a fire. And ever since then, there's been kind of this theme. And it wasn't the plan, but this theme over the last month or so about men being drawn to a fire. I shared it with Luke, Rob, and Clint on the podcast several weeks ago. I shared during my talk at the men's retreat on Friday night, which will go live yesterday. So you're watching this or listening to this on Friday. It was live on Thursday. My talk was on something different. The plan was to do something different. But the days or week or so leading up to it, I felt compelled to teach on something else. My friend Patrick shared, Rob shared. There's just been this theme. And I got to believe the Lord is doing it because I didn't sit down and map out the month of September and into October and say, how can we just belabor to the point of fire? I think God is just kind of, again, just going before us in this as he always has. And so we're trying to walk in obedience. I was talking to Clint. It might have been the night when the retreat was over. I don't remember. But I remember talking to him saying, man, I wish we could figure out a way to capitalize on this idea of being drawn to a fire, knowing that we're only going to have one retreat a year. Now, we have some tribe meetups and stuff, but how can we do this where we kind of just urge men to gather like this? And ever since then, it's been something I've been thinking about quite a bit. And I know when I think about something quite a bit, it's the Lord doing it. Because I'll get ideas all the time, and then by the time I have lunch, I forgot about it. I'm on to something else. But this thing, I'm thinking about it all the time. And it's been growing, not only in me, but in this community because of the conversations that took place after that post. And so I'll just say on the onset, I'm going to do 2 of these at least. I'm going to do Friday, November 7th, and I'm going to do Friday, December 5th. Both of those are at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to try to unpack the, what I put here, the what and the how first. What are we doing? How are we doing this? The why we're doing this, and the who at the very end, okay? Let's start with the what and how. First of all, I'm going to use Zoom.us. I use Zoom, okay? I've used Zoom for 8.5 years. I was in a part of a men's group before that used Zoom, so I kind of became familiar with that. That's just what I'm familiar with. It's kind of like Microsoft Teams, kind of like Google's got their thing. Is it Google Hangout or whatever? I don't know. So I just use Zoom. So if you want to create an account, Zoom.us, do it today. Save yourself a little bit of stress when you get there on that Friday. And so, yeah, you can use it on your computer. You can use it on your phone, your tablet. You can connect your computer or any of those things to a larger TV so you can see the screen even bigger, which would be pretty cool. So I'm using Zoom. I'll post the Zoom meeting ID and password in my framework email when I'm leading up to that Friday night. Okay, so be sure you're subscribed to the email. The framework email. You can go to the website and you can put in your email there and you're subscribed. If you put in a junk email, some of you guys do that, or you put in a junk email when you check out because you're like, I don't want to be spammed. I totally respect that. I understand that. But just know if you're not checking that email, that's where it's going. So make sure you got a good email there, that you're subscribed. Here's what it's going to be. It's going to be it's going to be a time of brief teaching. So I'm probably going to talk 10 or 15 minutes. That doesn't seem very long, but 10 to 15 minutes on Zoom is a long time. We're going to have a little bit of worship. How do you do worship on Zoom? Well, basically a guy sings, and we're going to ask everybody to mute themselves. So we're not trying to, how Zoom is, it jumps to boxes. Let's let the guy sing, and we're going to sing on our own if you want, or you can just listen. I asked my friend Doug Cole of Darkwater Woodwork to lead us in worship. He said, absolutely, I'll do that. We've done a little bit of worship on Tribe before, so not much, but a little bit. So it's a cool moment. And then we're going to have some conversation. I got a guy who's going to monitor the chat, just kind of like, where guys are checking in from. I'm going to ask you, hey, would you put your location in there? Not your address or anything like that. You want to put Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Anchorage, Alaska, Mobile, Alabama, whatever, man, do it. If you just want to put your state, do it. I'm not asking you to be overly vulnerable, but here's what I've seen in Tribe. You start to find, hey, I'm not the only guy in Utah. Hey, I'm not the only guy in Michigan. We're at the retreat and there was a guy that joined Tribe. The first thing he wanted to know is, who else is from Michigan here? So we got him connected to the Michigan guys. If possible, they might meet up. You may say, Jared, I'm not interested in that. That's fine. You don't have to do that. This is not eHarmony. I'm not trying to set you up, okay? I'm just trying to connect you. So we're going to have a time of teaching, time of worship. And then in that chat, again, my friend that's going to monitor that, there might be a question, there might be a comment, there might be something, a prayer request. I don't know. But he's going to help me filter some of that stuff because, you get 20, 30, 40 or more guys on there and guys start, dialoguing in there. A lot can happen. And so he's going to help with that. It will not be overly orchestrated, okay? So if you think you're coming to a space where Robert's rules of order are going to be on display, it's not that. If you've been around a fire pit, they're not overly detailed, right? I'm not going to get out planning center and have a breakdown of order of service. It will be directed, but it will be loosely directed, okay? So all right, now we're going to do this, now we're doing this. It'll be about an hour. Anything over an hour on Zoom, it turns into an airport. Everybody starts announcing their departures, okay? So I'm not going to do that. It'll be around an hour. An hour is long enough. And so we're going to connect. Again, not overly orchestrated or detailed. When those guys in Southern Indiana, when they were doing those songs, man, they were jumping around all over the place. I thought it was wonderful. They would take a request. They'd pull it up on their phone. They'd sing it. I know Doug, he'll have it dialed in, and I'll try to do the same on my end. But then when we get to the discussion, again, the guys that are monitoring that, they'll help with that. So I want you to know this is a chance to connect with other guys without leaving your home. Now, if you go to someone else's house to do this, that's fine. But I do know this. There are worse things to do on a Friday night than to log on to Zoom for an hour and connect with some other men from around the country. If guys outside the U.S. join, that's wonderful. I don't know if the time will work for you guys, but there are worse things to do on a Friday night. I know my life pre-Jesus, Friday night, I wasn't getting on Zoom and having a discussion about the Bible. So for you guys that might need that, you might struggle a little bit, you might fall into temptation or any of those things. Hey man, here's a lifeline. And I'll get more into that, into the why in just a minute. But again, a time to gather around the fire together. I need to say this because it's inevitable. It's going to come up. Jarrett, what if I don't have a fire or can't have a fire? Can I still join? It's not about the fire. Okay, the fire is a prop. The fire is just the prop to get us there. You live in an apartment, you live with Aunt Susie, whatever. You don't have to have a fire at all. If you want to have one, great. I'm going to have one. Some of the guys I've talked to, they're going to have one. I don't care if you have a bonfire. I don't care if you're on your fireplace. I don't care if you have YouTube fire. I don't care if you have a candle or no fire. Man, I just want you there. Okay. I just want you there. Hey, if we do these things all year long, which I would love to do, but we need to do 2 at least before I figure out, is this something we're going to keep doing? And it's July here. I'm not doing a fire. I'm not going to sweat my face off on Zoom so I can have a fire. But we'll still have it if we feel like it's something that we should be doing. So let me get into the why. And I want you to hear this. And this is probably the hardest part for me, where I kept getting kind of tangled up and probably in the way. I believe more than ever, maybe in the history of the world, and this is not hyperbole, I believe this, and I've been sharing this with a couple friends, just kind of fleshing this idea out. I believe more than ever, we are in desperate need of real connection, especially with other men of God. Here's why I say that. We have more downtime than we've ever had. We have more things accessible at our fingertips than we've ever had. You can feel like you are king of the castle without even leaving your recliner. You can order up some food right now, and in 45 minutes or so, somebody will park their car the wrong way in your street, walk up, put your food right outside your door on your porch. You can come inside and you can have something from a restaurant and you never left your house. Amazon will do the same. Other people will bring stuff to you. Hey, man, you can have people drive you all over town. You can do all kinds of things, and you didn't hardly lift a finger. Because of that, we are lonelier than ever. We are emptier than ever. We have less real connections than we've ever had before. You are not going out and plowing the North 40 in a hope to harvest some food so your family makes it through the winter. Your wife isn't sitting in a rocking chair knitting clothes together, and you're not outside in the barn shaving down wood so you can put some trees or some toys under a tree at Christmas time. You're not going to the trading post and offering whatever hide that you've collected from your hunts to try to get flour and sugar so you guys can have bread and other things in your house. You see what I'm saying? It's a totally different time to be alive, and it's a wonderful time to be alive, and yet we are lonelier than we've ever been before. You can sit down and you can pull out your phone and you can mindlessly scroll, or you can turn on the TV, or you can hunker down out in your garage, or we can do all these things. And I'm a firm believer in turning off the noise, getting away, and getting that reset. But for most guys, that is not what has taken place, and you know it. And the more you drift, the more you drift into sin. The more you drift into sin, all those negative, evil voices in your head from the enemy of your soul telling you you don't need anybody, you don't need those guys, they're weird, they don't understand you, they're this, they let you down, you're mad at them, whatever. All those voices just get louder and louder and louder. And I'm saying, hey, can we utilize the resources we've been given in an attempt to bring other men into community? This is free. There's no cost to get on this. This is not Jared trying to make $10. This is me saying, hey man, I just want you to know you're not alone. I want you to know you matter, and I want you to know I'm going to try to do what I can to make you feel like you're a part of something. But you got to meet me halfway. Again, I hear from guys all the time, hey, I've listened for years, or I follow you, or I'm still checking in, or and I never hear from you. I don't have to hear from you. I'm just throwing out lifelines because I want to help. The other day, I was saving a podcast, and when you save a podcast and you upload it, there goes 2 hours of your day. Well, when I first started saving, I look at it and go, well, that's a big file. It's going to take a minute. So I look around and I grab my phone and I open it up just like many of you do. And I started to scroll. And as I started to scroll, I saw some videos of men's ministry guys. And what they were sharing is really good. And they always look like they're angry at you. I don't know what's going on. They always look like I don't know. And so I'm listening to what they're saying and I'm like, this is good. Now, one, I'm encouraged by what they're saying, but number two, before long, you start listening to enough of these messages, you start to feel like, man, I don't measure up. Brother, this isn't about measuring up. This is about being a man of God. I want you to know that. Nothing within the pursuit of manliness is an attempt on my part to make you think I'm great, or to make you think that you have to be like me, or anything to that end. I want you to be great in your home, in your sphere of influence. And all these things, this podcast included, all the clips that are posted, all the social media posts, whatever, I hope you see all of them, whether it's me or anybody else, as a lifeline of encouragement. But please do not get to the point where we start to idolize these people. God did not put people like that in our lives to make them an idol. God put people like that in our lives to hear the word of God and make sure He's going to make sure on His end that it does not return void, that it's supposed to do something in your life. There's a lot of great phrases and talking points that we can throw out there, but at the end of the day, it is man's opinion if it's not grounded in the word of God. I say that because it's easy to sit in your chair, eating your food that somebody brought to your house, mindlessly scrolling digital sugar until your phone dies, and you're not necessarily encouraged, even though you dropped some fire emojis or you shared them to your story or you liked them, you're not necessarily encouraged, and nothing is going to change on your end. I want to help you change some things on your end. Now, when it comes to your end, when it comes to your house, the people that live within your home, they don't need to know about me. They don't need to know about the pursuit of manliness. I get invited to speak at some of these men's things, and it's because Men in Tribe or other things invite me to come, which I appreciate. They don't need to know about Tribe. They don't need to. I mean, if they do, that's fine. You know what the driving force is? In almost every one of these instances, these men, these pastors or whoever, see something different in that individual. It's not that they're wearing all the gear. It's that they see something different in that individual. And in many cases, it's the wife who's been bragging on her husband. That's the win. Now, maybe you say, well, I got a long way to go before that ever happens. Just start today. All you can do is start today. So what I'm trying to do through Firepit Friday Night, through a podcast, I put out at least 8 podcasts a week. Recalibrate's got 5. This has got 3. I think last week there was 4 or 5 on this podcast. I don't know. So there's a lot. Not that you need to hear my voice. I'm just trying to help. Same way with social media posts. Same way with the closed Facebook group. I'm going to be honest, that closed Facebook group, I thought about deleting it about 97 times. We got a whole bunch of people in there, and only 30 or 40 are even doing anything. Guys are just following it because they just join countless groups. And the fact that I don't let them share links in there puts some guys in a bad spot to begin with, because they thought, it's another place I can just drop all my YouTube videos. Well, I'm not doing that. I'm trying to create some environments with the resources that I have available. And you guys that know me, he has a limited understanding of how these resources work. I'm just trying to put them out there. And I'm saying, man, would you accept the invitation? All I can do is put it out there, man. All I can try to do is convince you that you do matter and we want you to be a part of these things. But at the end of the day, you have to meet me halfway. You have to do it. So again, this is a time to gather around a fire. And if you don't have a fire, man, just get on the call. And maybe you're a guy who's not sure about getting on the call. I don't know, man. Again, it's not eHarmony. We're not trying to set you up. If you don't want to turn your camera on, don't turn your camera on. If you're in a setting where you go, maybe it's not good for everybody to know that, I'm changing my kid's diaper or whatever, I get that. All I want you to do is get on the call. If you would, put your real name on there. Galaxy 675, that's great. Try it today. Create a Zoom account and put your real name in there, so at least we know there's real people on the call. Man, I just want you to get on a call. With the men in the herd, we have a ton of men in the herd. We really do. About 10 of them get on the Zoom calls. Where are the other guys? I don't know. Maybe the time never works for them. No matter if it's Saturday morning, Wednesday night, Tuesday afternoon, it never works for them. You know who gets on the calls? The men in tribe. Almost always it's the men in tribe. You know why? Because they've leaned into the community. What they were looking for, they're leaning into it. They're growing from it. And they say, another chance to get on a call with some guys? Absolutely. We have a marriage call tonight in Tribe. There will be, now if you're listening to this, it's already happened, by the way. We have a marriage call tonight in Tribe. We'll get just about the same number of couples on that call. And we have really fostered some great conversation and some community because, again, men in Tribe just leaning into it. I know when it comes to Firepit Friday Night, in many ways, the men in Tribe they'll show up. Not all of them, but they will. The ones that can will show up. And I just want you to get you around these guys. You guys that come to the retreat, you'll tell me, hey, I met so-and-so and so-and-so and so. Almost always, it's men in Tribe. They're just high caliber men. It is a tremendous blessing. So why are we doing this? Do we need one more thing to do? No. There's, again, 8 podcasts a week. There's the herd. There's Tribe. There's marriage calls. Do we need another thing to do? Am I sitting around on Friday night bored with nothing to do? Is my wife saying, would you find something to do on Friday night? No, I'm doing it because there's so many men, including myself, who need that connection with other men of God. And again, I'll go back to that. More than any other time in history, I really believe that. I really believe that. I want you to know this is not about me. This is not about a brand. This is about helping men be men of God. I want to help move you from Christian guy to man of God, if you'll let me. Okay, I want to be on this journey with you, but you have to let me. I want to help keep you in the fight. I want to help keeping you engaged. I use this phrase a lot. There are some guys who are so good, they are so godly. Like you need them. You know what I'm talking about? Maybe it's in your church and you're like, man, if we could just get that guy to engage or show up. And I can't keep them afloat. Have you ever tried to tread water and help somebody else tread water? Now, I'm not good at treading water. I sink like a rock. I don't know why, just the way it is. Maybe it's a bone density thing. I don't know, but I sink. And so for me, treading water, it's a full-on effort. I see people out there just having a day. That's not me. I've never been that guy in water. But there have been times, and I'm thinking in my mind, like times in the ocean, where I have had to help other people. Maybe as an older person, maybe as a younger person. I don't know. And I say this about guys. There's some guys you just can't keep them afloat. You can't keep them above water. You reach out to them, you call them, you text them, you DM them, whatever, and you can kind of bring them up to the surface. You're like, oh, good, he's good. Okay, there he is, he's good. But once you go back to trying to like take care of your stuff, they tread for a minute and they start to sink again. And I don't know what to do. Like I want to reach out to them. I want to connect with them. I want to encourage them. but they have to learn to swim too. They have to do their part. And for whatever reason, they don't. They don't want to do their part. And so, again, looking at this virtual idea, I'm like, could we make this as easy as possible? Getting on Zoom, you don't have to leave your house. You can literally be in your car. It doesn't matter where you're at. But still give them a connection where they can be encouraged by other people. You know what kindles my fire? Getting around other sound and solid men of God. I know on the day that this podcast will go live, I'm going to meet up with at least a couple guys in Southern Indiana for lunch. I know in about a month, I'll be meeting up with some guys to go hiking. I know, again, about once a month, there's a connection with some guys that, for me, kindle my fire. But I know there's a lot of guys that don't have that. Or there's a lot of guys that you have been pouring your thermos into other people's cups so long that you're worn down. And I'm like, hey, if you'll join us on this Friday night, we're going to do our part to try to fill up that thermos just a little bit more for you. Let me break this down too as I'm getting a little long here. Anyone can log on. This is for men, but anyone can log on. You're like, Jared, I'm not in the herd. Anyone can log on. If you have the meeting ID and password, and it won't be the same as Tribe. For you guys in Tribe, like, oh, I already know what it is. It won't be that. Because we don't need a guy later on in a Tribe call just checking in to see if he can log on. So it will be unique to this gathering. It will be found in that email. So make sure you're subscribed. Can I share that meeting ID and password? Absolutely. Share it with all the people you want. What if they're not subscribed to your email? I don't care. You're their lifeline. You're trying to keep them afloat. You share it with whoever you want. How many people are going to be on this thing? I don't know. I have no idea. Here's what I'm hearing though. Number one, I want you to get on there. If you live by yourself, you got no friends, you got no whatever, I just want you on there, okay? However, I'm hearing from some guys, and I'm going to try it. I don't know if I can pull it off, who are talking about having some guys at their house with them. When I reached out to Doug and I said, Doug, will you lead worship for us? He said, absolutely. Oh, wait, I'm going to be camping with like 4 or 5 other guys. And he's like, wait a minute, they'll just join in. And I said, that's a beautiful idea. So you can invite guys to your deck, your garage. Don't have a fire in your garage. Your driveway, your backyard, wherever you're at. You could have 3, 5, 10, doesn't matter, guys there to be on this call with you. And so we're going to do some teaching. We're going to do some worship. We're going to do some conversating. When it's over, we're going to close the computer, turn the phone off, turn the iPad off, whatever. And man, you have built-in conversation with those people that are at your house. If you have people over there, you say, well, I don't have anyone. Go to bed or whatever you want to do. But for those who do have people at their house, man, that might be setting the table for you to have some conversations that just go a little bit deeper. Again, it's just a thought. Listen, there's a lot of different angles that we could take with this. At the end of the day, I want you to understand this. I just want to help. This is something we're going to try at least twice. It'll be on a Friday night. I know not everyone can join in. I know the time doesn't work for everybody. It's what we got. We're going to try it at least twice. It won't be overly orchestrated, but there is some direction to it. I want it to be an opportunity for you to connect with some other people. They will not log off wow and impressed with our technology and our production skills, but they will feel like that they have connected with some others. The chat will be open for an opportunity to say, I'm from Tennessee. I'm in Virginia, whatever your deal is. An opportunity for that, an opportunity for conversation, and who knows what will happen. One last thing. I'm going to ask you to do this. I know some guys are better at this than others. I'm going to ask you that no matter what you're doing, if you're on your phone, you're probably not. If you're able, would you take like a selfie or a picture of you doing this or with your friends doing this? I know for guys, it's weird. It's uncomfortable. I told the guys in Tribe at the retreat that like, hey, we don't have a photographer this year. Would you take pictures? And they did. They got great pictures. Some of them are awkward. Some of them are wonderful. It doesn't matter. We're not a production company. This isn't yearbook photos, okay? The reason why I say that is especially, I've seen this when we did the retreat virtually. I used to have a virtual option of the retreat where we would live stream and it never worked well. Facebook would crash or our internet would crash or whatever would happen. But guys would take pictures of them and all their guys sitting around the TV, waiting for Facebook to come back up. And it was encouraging to see other guys gather around that idea. And so if you would, I'll talk more about that as we get closer. But man, I'd love for you to take a picture of you and your guys gathered together around the fire, around the TV, whatever's going on. Send it to me, pursuemanliness@gmail.com. I would love to share it as well. It's just a way to continue the conversation, continue the story. Hey, here's Bob in Iowa, and he's got 4 guys in his backyard on a Friday night as we're talking about our text tonight or whatever it is, because I think men need to be encouraged by that. I don't know about you, but I could always stand to have a little bit more encouragement. I'd venture to say you might need it as well. This is a way we can use tools and technology to say, hey, let's throw a lifeline out there to some guys, making sure that they know they're not alone, they matter, and again, we all have people in our life who depend on us to get this right. Let's keep ourselves afloat. Let's keep ourselves above the surface so people can see us, knowing that we're doing okay. We're going to stay after it in an attempt to help as many people as possible get to Jesus and to heaven. Amen. Hey, I appreciate you guys. I'm thankful for you. I can't wait for Friday, November 7th. I'll talk to you in a bit. Thank you again for tuning into the Pursuit of Manliness podcast. Please like, comment, and share the show. Also, if you would leave an iTunes review, that would be greatly appreciated. And remember, keep pursuing biblical manliness.